Hey everybody, how we doing? Yeah, I have visitors today from my daughter's place. The turkeys and the guineas. These two up front here, these two white ones, the one on the left is called Thanksgiving and the one on the right is called Christmas. So I think that's the only ones they've named so far. Anyway, they come down to eat the bugs at my place, so I'm happy to see that every once in a while. All right, let's get into all the breeding stuff, should we? And what's been going down, got some interesting stuff to talk about here. All right, we're going to get into some stuff with this. Here is the Lomax pin and possibly Brownie, the brown and white one on the far left side, may be the only one that has not been bred yet. I think she still has not been bred. I'm not 100%, but I'm pretty sure that's the case. Over here, these guys are out in the pasture. Stony, I think, is taking care of everybody. I think everybody is bred, everybody's covered. So, at least from what I've seen on the markings on the rattle's never 100% pure. You can't be 100% positive on that. But I think he's pretty much got everything done. So, we're waiting on maybe one of them. Hang on. I'm going to note too, they're out in the pasture. I've been swapping back and forth. I let them out, then I lock them in, and then I let the young rams out over there. And no, these guys are not out in the pasture. And I'm going to explain that to you in a minute, why I'm not putting them out. Let's walk over here real quick. See the little guys. Where you at, guys? There we are. I should tell you too, a few weeks ago, just before I put the rams in, I decided to go ahead and measure those guys. So I brought them in myself and got them measured. They're all in anywhere from 10, 10 and a half, 11, 11 and a half inches on the horns, except my big guy back there. And he was 13 and 13 and a half inches on his horns. So a little bit bigger than the rest of them. All right, let's start talking about what came down. And I'm gonna go over here. I'm gonna hang up the camera, make it easier for me if you don't mind. Now, all along I've said I'm learning. All right, you're watching my videos, I'm learning. Been livestock all my life, but never sheep. Sheep have been maybe the last 5 years or something like that. So I'm still learning. And this time I had something new that hasn't happened before. And that is with Lomax. Now, I came in one day, put some water in, and he kind of put his head down and took a step or two towards me. Now, I stepped toward him and yelled, and he was long gone. And some of that comes from back when I was feeding him over here. And I told you Lomax kind of took over as the dominant ram with Stony. Now I feed, I'll take it off the deal so you can see, on those troughs like that. Those are 10 feet long. All right, so what was happening is I'd put the feed down there, Lomax and Stony go eat, Lomax would slowly start working his way down to push Stony out of the way. So what I did, I got in, go in, carry a big stick. I got in, pushed him away, and then I stood between him and the feeder, and I let Stony eat, and I wouldn't let him eat. And we did that for about 3 or 4 days, and I'd finally let him in. And we finally got to a point where they'd both go eat. And then you'd slowly start seeing Lomax trying to edge down the trough. And then he'd stop and he'd kind of look at me. And when he did, I just stared at him. I'm standing in the pen and I just stare at him and then slowly go back to his side again. And after about a week, I could feed them and then walk away and do something else. And he never moved back over again. So basically, while Lomax is dominating over Stony, he respects me. All right. And that's why he took a step, which I thought was a little unusual, but he stepped away real fast. What he's been doing is just beating the snot out of the ewes. He's been very aggressive with the ewes, but he's been aggressive when I've been here. All right, it's just when I've been here. So I asked, I went to a Painted Desert Sheep Forum Facebook page, and I asked people, because I had never experienced that before. And basically it came down to most people, the idea that he's young, and because he's young rams sometimes tend to be aggressive to the ewes because they're not really sure what they're doing. So he was basically being aggressive to them to basically tell them, hey, you're mine. You have nothing to do with him, nothing to do with me. And I thought, well, that makes a lot of sense, because when I'm there, that's when he got aggressive with them. And he wouldn't be aggressive. He probably took a step to me thinking he was going to challenge me just maybe a little bit, but he backed off real fast from that. So after that, he takes it out on the girls. So I let them go out in the pasture. I was letting them go out there, but what he would do there is he would literally chase them from end to end to end to end. He wouldn't stop. He wouldn't quit. So I finally said, fine, we're going to lock you in here. I lock him into dry lot, and now I'm going to stay away. I'm going to stay out of the pen, not get around as much, because mainly, and I saw it really yesterday was the big one where I saw it. Cayenne was the ewe that I thought should be coming in. Before we started this, around the first of the month, she was one day going up and down the fence, wanted the rams bad. So I thought, all right, around 17th, 18th, she got to be coming back in. Well, yesterday was the day. I went to town, came back. As I came back, they were in the pasture, and there was Lomax and Cayenne laying over here in the pasture by themselves. The other ewes were all laying down here, and I thought, oh, okay, timed that one right. We got that right. So she was in season. He was with her. Now, go to the afternoon. All this thing starts with him running them around, chasing them. And who did he go after? Cayenne. He was picking on Cayenne. If anything, he went for her, trying to butt her, pushed her into fences, doing all kinds, anything he could. But he was keeping her away from me. At least that's the way I'm starting to look at this thing. And what was funny was, he would chase them around some, and he and I went at it a little bit, you know, but then I find, okay, I backed off. And I went over and split some firewood, but I could watch him. And that's when I realized, once I was out of the picture, he was fine. He was fine. Matter of fact, later on, I looked one time at the cameras. I was in the house later, and who was laying right next to each other? Yep, Lomax and Cayenne. He was laying right next to her. She was by him. It was almost like, I'm sorry, honey. I know I got carried away this afternoon. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. So let's cuddle up over here now. That's kind of what it looked to me. So, but I wanted to tell you about it because it's new to me. And I always try to think, as I'm doing this, if you're watching videos, I'm learning. Hopefully you're learning, because I'm learning. I make mistakes. You learn not to make the same mistakes I made. And I thought this was a situation like that. You know, having a young ram where people are saying, well, it's a young ram, and they don't maybe have the confidence, and that's why he acts the way he is. You know, last year, well, I've had nothing but young rams. I have not had an old ram. I think one of the mouflon rams I had way back was probably 3, and that's the oldest ram I've had. But last year, I stood 4 different rams. The year before, I had 3 different rams with the ewes, and after that, when I had black bellies or mouflons, I at least always had 2 every year. So for all these years I've been in sheep, I've had multiple rams every year, and they've all been young, and none of them have ever done this. He's the first one to do this. So I learned something. I'll pass it on. So maybe, you know, when it comes time you see this happening, that's fine. Maybe this is why it's happening for you too in the same situation. But as I said, I think I've learned, and you know, I'm going to bring in, and let me turn the camera around for you just a second. There's the 10-footer. There's another short one there. I got another feeder by the fence. I'm going to put 3 feeders around and really spread the feed out so they get more of a chance to come back in and eat. If he wants to chase them off from over here or there, but I don't know if that's really going to matter, but I'm going to do it anyway. And I'm staying out of the pen. I'm just going to stay out. I'll throw the feed out. They get their water. They get their hay. And beyond that, I'm not going in. I'm going to stay in. I am going to keep them out of the pasture. And my reasoning for that is so he doesn't keep running them and running them. He wants to keep control. He wants to keep control of them. So, and that's where somebody, in the forum where we discussed it, somebody said, he had a ram do the same thing. It's almost like he was a guy on a cutting horse with cattle. He was just running them and chasing them, and trying to keep them grouped up in a small group. That was his group. He wants to keep them together. When he's out in the pasture, they were such a bigger area. Now he's running them all over, having a harder time keeping them together. I think he was having a hard time keeping them close. Here he doesn't have that problem, so I thought, fine, you're going to stay in here, and then you won't be chasing. And if I'm not in the pen, and we're not doing any of this, that's just what they're like. Everybody's just standing around, everybody's fine, no problems. But when I got in, that's when we started having some problems. So, but anyway, that's what I wanted to cover with you, because it's something new. It's something I just learned. I've never been around before, so I wanted to let you know about it. Otherwise, we may be covered. We'll see in 17 days. I've marked everybody down on the book. Brownie is the only one that hasn't been marked yet because I don't know. But I'm not going to get too big of a worry. She's the only one that I know of. I'm not going to worry about it. What'll happen, it'll happen when it happens. We'll start keeping an eye out 17, well, probably now 14 days from now, because it's been about 4 days that they've been in there. So about 2 weeks from now, we'll start keeping an eye to see if any rams are after anybody else. Are they chasing anybody, or did we get everybody bred the first time? And after that, you know, that's about all there is to do for now. Stick with that. So anyway, that's all I got this time around. I just wanted to let you know about that. I thought it was important. A learning experience for me, and maybe that'll help you out, and you won't have to, you'll know what to see when it comes up sometimes. So anything comes up, we'll be back. Otherwise, maybe we'll be back in a couple weeks and let you know how we're progressing. At that time, we should have an idea if anybody's back in, so we'll let you know how we're progressing. See you in a week or two.